everyone, what's up? Welcome back to my channel, Koki Creative. My name's Elena and I'm a part of the EA Creator Network. Today we are doing a speed build, and this speed build is called That Dang Old Factory. First, let me just tell you a little bit about this build. It is on a 40 by 30 lot in Evergreen Harbor. That's the neighborhood that comes with the Eco Lifestyle Pack. It is 127,000 simoleons and it's a community space lot type. That is also a lot type that comes with the Eco Lifestyle Pack. I didn't use a ton of packs for this, but I did use Growing Together, Eco Lifestyle, City Living, Get to Work, and Werewolves. I just felt like those packs had the best worn down, rusty items that I was looking for to make an old, dilapidated factory. This is the description I wrote for it in the gallery. So, everyone in Evergreen Harbor calls this eyesore that dang old factory. The neighborhood got together and raised enough money to finally turn this mess into a community center. And guess what? They need your help. Make the perfect community garden, marketplace, and makerspace. Have your neighborhood vote on which one they want. So that's what you do with a community space. It is the only one of the community lots that are like this, where your sim can vote on which version of the build that you get. I only made the standard default version. So what the goal is for you download this build from the gallery, and then you can make the perfect spaces out of this build with that, if that makes sense. So yeah, so you can vote on, let's say, the garden, and then delete all the junk that I put in here, and then put in a couple of planters and other things that your Sims would want to do if it was a garden space to work on those skills. Just thought it'd be kind of fun. And I also did build this for the Fixer Upper collab, and essentially that collab is building something that people can download from the gallery and make their own. So before I even continue, I have to tell you about the little railway station that I made connecting the two buildings. I was looking up a ton of inspiration photos online because, I mean, I've seen abandoned factories, but when you're just going to sit down and build something, you kind of want a little bit of a blueprint. And I don't usually use any kind of inspiration photo that I copy exactly off of. I just use a combination of them and just pick and choose what I like. So one thing I kept seeing in these inspiration photos that I loved was these old factories being connected by different rail carts. And those carts are probably to move things from one building to another. I do have a little story as I build. I will tell you how this factory sort of operates, or at least how it operated and how I imagined that it operated. Just kind of helped me figure out what kind of machinery to put where, which was kind of a fun challenge I've never experienced before. I first thought, oh yeah, I'll just put some machinery in here, but it really was like, what is this machine and what does it do here and why am I putting it here? Kind of helped me build something that I've never built before. I will tell you before we even get into it, it's supposed to be a factory for those emotion potions that you can get from the reward store. So that's the little thing I made up in my head. You can pretend it is whatever you want it to be, or don't even pretend at all. I don't know. But yeah, download it and fix it up however you'd like for the other spaces. It's a very fun little blueprint. I did spend a little bit of time kind of messing around and seeing what I could make out of it, since I do like to play with these spaces. I rarely play with the ones that EA came out with, and I rarely do that, like voting on the board and taking advantage of all of the fun gameplay stuff that comes with Eco Lifestyle. It's just something I always forget about going around trying to get people to vote for the different neighborhood action plans and working on making each of the neighborhoods green instead of having it be smoggy. And I like it. I like playing around with it, but I just don't really spend enough time with this pack. Eco Lifestyle is definitely one of my top, I want to say like top 5 packs, expansion packs. So if you're wondering, yeah, it is worth it. I do like it. I use a lot of different gameplay with it too. Just like the objects are great. The clothes are great. And when I do actually have the time to do the gameplay, it is so fun. Like the crafting and the recycling. I save all of my dirty dishes to be recycled. It's pretty fun. So these are the windows. One of the visions that I had for this was definitely brick exterior and lots of big windows for natural light. Where I grew up in Kalamazoo, Michigan, they had a lot of old factories that kind of had this style, like brick, old And when I was like in school, some of them were more or less abandoned, but within the last like 10, 20 years, a lot of them have been revitalized. Like coffee shops have been put in them and other little shopping centers. And it looks so cute now. So that's the vision I have for this. I hope to see maybe one day someone shows me what they did with this space, because I think it could make a really cool little marketplace or garden, something like that. All right, so this is the railway cart, and I wanted them to connect. So this build is very, very open. Another thing I was noticing when I looked up factories is how open everything is. If not three wall height, I also opened it up the floor. You'll see how I do it, but because even 3 wall height just didn't feel tall enough. I really wanted to get the feeling that you walked into a factory in here. And the good thing is you really don't need much flooring. I don't need much space to make it look like an abandoned factory. I really didn't even have to worry about putting too much machinery in here anyway, because I figured an abandoned factory would probably sell off a lot of its machinery. I don't know. There was an abandoned factory near my high school growing up, and I never was brave enough to enter it. I know some people that did, but you weren't supposed to anyway. So yeah, it was actually kind of interesting because that factory that was behind my middle school, it was abandoned since I think like the 90s. And when I was in middle school, they finally were going to demolish it. Became big news. And then a osprey, which is a bird, I might not be saying that right, but it made a nest, and it's an endangered bird, made a nest on the roof of the factory. So they had to delay the construction or the demolition for a couple more years, which was okay because it was actually kind of exciting. One of our intern teachers at the time had us go outside and go look at the birds' nests through binoculars. So, and I'm a bird person. I love birds. So that was very cool, fascinating. I know, fun factory story. Just trying to fill the space as I draw everything out. Now, this is actually pretty fun. This part, it felt like a puzzle to me. So much fun. I love being able to take away the floor and create these balconies, walkways, catwalks. Just feel like it really opens up the build. I used a ton of items from Debug in this build. So the smokestacks you see on top of this building, any kind of machinery, the train car, even the train tracks, all Debug items. If you don't know how to find Debug and you're wondering if you can, anyone that has The Sims 4 can use Debug cheats. Even if you play on console, there's different ways to access Debug objects, so make sure you look up, depending on what you play on, how to find those, but I highly recommend them. I know if you don't want to use cheats in your game, it's one thing, but it just adds so many different objects to your game. And all right, so here I'm working on a staircase, and the staircases in this whole build were just such a mess for me to figure out. I was like so excited because I thought I had so much space to work with. It was going to be so easy to add stairs to this entire build, but it actually ended up being one of the most challenging things I think I experienced in this build. Not just this side of the building, but the other side as well. So this is also what I was talking about with the stairs here. It took me a while to figure out how to get to that third story. And now we are on this third story, which is just an office. I don't know if you see the vision here, but when I think about an old factory, I imagine there is an office way up high with windows surrounding it. So whoever is like managing can be up there working on paperwork and making sure everything is going okay by looking out the windows. I'm not sure if anyone remembers this, but in the movie Jumanji, the dad works at a shoe factory, and I remember his office looking sort of similar to this with these kind of windows so he could look out. I know it's so specific. I haven't even watched this movie in years, but for some reason, as I was building this, I was thinking, oh yeah, that dad from Jumanji, his office. This is the bathroom. It is technically functional, but I would go in and make real stalls here if I were you, because I'm pretty sure if your Sims use that and someone walks through the door, they're going to be seen and they get embarrassed, and you don't want them to get embarrassed. Unless that's part of your gameplay, but I try not to make my Sims too embarrassed because they might die. Yeah, that's never good. Now I had to figure out what to do with this floor. And again, I just didn't want it to be just one big open room. The lockers are where I imagine like the staff would come in, take off their clothes and change into whatever work clothes they had. Then there's the public restroom right there, stairs to go upstairs. This area, I was trying to find a good layout. I added this wall because I thought maybe it would break up this giant space a little bit better. I still wasn't sure what items I was even going to put there. You know how earlier I did mention that this is supposed to be an emotion potion factory? Well, it used to be. But this is before I had even decided that. And I was just sort of hoping the inspiration would hit me. It didn't even hit me till near the end, and I'll tell you when I finally had the vision for what this is supposed to be. Usually when I build, I know exactly what I'm building, or at least I have an idea as I build, like a story will pop up in my head. But this one, I really struggled just because I realized my lack of knowledge with how factories work. I mean, I've watched quite a bit of how it's made, but not enough to build a factory from memory. All right, here I am stacking pallets. One thing I knew for sure about factories is there's always a big stack of pallets outside. And I do know why. It's because you get shipments of stuff and it comes on pallets. Where do you put the pallets? You put them outside. I've always wanted to make like pallet furniture one day, maybe, but this was time consuming, but I thought this was very essential for the factory aesthetic. I should also mention, so the big holes, I just skipped right over that. Those are windows that come with werewolves. I like them because they match with the brick perfectly. The brick is also from werewolves. And I wanted to make it look like just holes in the wall. And since there's only one of those windows, I had to get creative with kind of meshing them together so not every single hole looks the same. And I should mention what I'm doing right now. So this just was lacking character on the outside. I just was so bored with the exterior, so I was just looking through debug, found these pipes, and I used tool mod to kind of move them around a bit too, but I was really happy with those pipes. I'm like, okay, cool, I can have it coming from the wall and go all the way to the floor. I end up using a bit more later. Now this is where I find a few more items that I thought looked kind of factory-like, and I was struggling to see the vision here of what exactly I was building. I'm like, okay, these are these machines, but what do these machines even do? I know no one's gonna be like, oh my gosh, why would she put this here? But yeah, so I found all these items that worked really well, and I just kind of was placing them where I thought they would kind of go, trying to move the windows around to look a little bit more like one hole. I do add plants to it later. I found some really good clutter too that made it look a little bit messier on the inside. Like you would imagine an abandoned factory. It would have piles of dirt. It would have just gears, metal on the ground. So now I'm working on the inside pipes. These pipes go all the way from the floor up to the rooftop. And I don't know it at this point yet, like I mentioned, but this is how the potion moves through the factory. I just kind of liked how it moves through the building. Now this is the first story or the first floor on the, I would call this like the main building. I was able to fit this piece of machinery in there really nice and snug. And this is the rail cart. So I was like, I have to do something with this. I can't just have the rail cart just sort of end. So I put barrels and like a platform on either end. And this is what I do sometimes when I'm not really sure what I want to do, especially in a build like this. I just scroll through the catalog and whatever just kind of hits me, I'll use. So definitely used a lot of used tires. And okay, now I'm back to the pipes. This is where the vision actually starts to come together. Also, I have to mention my tool mod is outdated. That's why it looks a little bit weird right now. If you don't know what tool mod is, it is a mod that helps move, resize, rotate objects more than just around 360. But as you can see, I'm moving these pipes from they're vertical and I'm making them horizontal so that way they can move through this building. I cut out so much of that because it just takes a second to kind of line everything up all right. Also, this gave me a good idea for the front of the building. I wanted it to be a little like broken looking, so I used the tool mod to just lightly adjust one of the pipes to make it a little bit angled. So I use a platform to place this pipe on the third story. That way when you are playing this build, it's not just like floating in the air. It will only be on like the third story, if that makes sense. This took me a while. Oh, Coconut's drinking water. Don't mind her. She's a good girl. I had to kind of play around with this a little bit. The nice thing about tool mod is you can rotate the objects individually or you can rotate them as a group. So I was able to readjust these pipes to fit through the wall. So this was my vision. I'm going to have it, the potion runs through these pipes, goes all the way down. I had to move around the windows a little bit, but I had the pipe go through the wall. And I had to readjust the interior as well, but it didn't take long. Sometimes if you come up with another idea and it's like, oh, I can't change this build, I already did so much, it really usually isn't as bad as you think it is, especially if you did most of the building already. So you can see I need to just readjust the space a little bit, but this gave me the chance to add a little bathroom back here. I do that a bit later. This was the hardest part. Well, not the hardest part, but trying to figure out how I wanted this part to end. I was thinking it could also go through the floor here, but I kind of wanted it to be like a spout and have it end in some sort of hole. So this is kind of what I came up with. First, I tried a giant trash can that I sized up. I didn't really like the way that looked. So then I found this random debug item that's supposed to be like the spout or the drain of whatever it is. I don't know how this factory works. It's magic potion, so whatever. But I do like how that kind of ended up being, and that's the kind of fun thing about The Sims. It can be just like your imagination. Do whatever you want. I wanted this area to be kind of like closed off though, because I could imagine that this would be a pretty dangerous area with all these machines. So I closed it off a bit, had to kind of readjust. That didn't take long. So we're about to move to my favorite part of this build. First, I have to just use a different floor paint. I kind of wanted something a little bit darker. Okay, so the rooftop. It was looking too not beat up. It was looking too clean up there. So I decided to make big holes. I used these tiny walls from Get to Work, I believe. Yeah, so that way it kind of looks a little bit invisible. Every single time that you make, or any single time that you have half walls and then you make a new room within those half walls, the paint will disappear. So just in case if that ever happens to you and it's really annoying, yeah, I know. The thing I keep doing by accident is I will repaint it every single time instead of just put all the walls that I want and then repaint it at the end, but whatever. Then I wanted to make it look a little bit overgrown. I've seen this before in abandoned buildings and I love the way it looks, how it just has like plants growing from the rooftop. So I added some dirt up there as well. But I also wanted to cover up these very jagged edges. Looked kind of unrealistic, I know, but I just tried to make it look a little bit more realistic, like something had broken through at some point and just some dirt's around there. All of these are debugged. The dirt is. I think I used most of the plants that are not debugged. I don't know. But either way, I didn't use a ton of packs. That greenery from werewolves is my, oh my gosh, I use so much in this build. So the bush that I'm trying to talk about, I'll show you, this is a better vision or view of it right here. It has kind of a waterfall effect to it, and I just love that, how it just falls over. You see what I'm saying. The words are escaping me right now, but it was perfect for these windows. I needed something like that to dress up these windows to kind of cover up the fact that they are not actually holes and they are windows. Well, the window, they're supposed to look like holes anyway, but whatever. I put them everywhere, all over this build, inside, outside. Yeah, every nook and cranny, really. But I love the way this ended up turning out. I was really happy with it. It just takes a second to kind of fill in all these gaps, but I just find landscaping therapeutic. It's very relaxing. Something nice about it. I also had to make sure I switched it up at a couple of other things too. Most of the other plants I use are base game. I have my base game go-tos like this, I don't know what those are called, but they're like the weeds, the ones, put them around ponds, and then obviously the low-lying pale yellow flowers. Next, I'm moving on to terrain paint, and right now it doesn't have any terrain paint on the ground. So this is what this lot looks like since it is the quarry. So I added a really, really light dirt around some of the objects to kind of make it look a little bit more realistic. And then I added just a lot of greenery. At this point, it's all about just filling in everything. I have everything that I want in this build already. It just has the machinery that I want in there and a bathroom. Doesn't really need anything else. So at this point, it's like, okay, how can I fill in this space? Now, these are the barrels that get transported from one building to another I imagine they are different liquids that need to be mixed with each other. I think I end up changing the swatches of the barrels because there's 3 different swatches later on. Like, I don't even think I have it in the video. So I think it makes it the story make a little bit more sense. Like, the blue barrels are over there. You got to mix them with the green to make the happy potion. I don't know. But I just thought it looked kind of cool and gave a purpose to the real cart. And then I found these old oil splatter swatch, so I put those everywhere. It was perfect. It was just what this build needed to give it that really old look. And I also found some cracks, so I put cracks everywhere. I really enjoyed this part of the process because I don't get to use a lot of these items often, so it was kind of fun making something that looked all torn down. And while I'm just finishing this up, I do want to mention that if you want to support me, you can use my creator code KokiCreative at checkout when buying any Sims or Sims 4 related pack. I would be very appreciated if you did. And if you really love another creator and they have a pack, make sure you use, or if they have a code, make sure that you use their code. I always feel so awkward trying to promote myself, but I am trying to be a little bit better at it since this is technically my full-time job. YouTube is just hasn't been my main priority. I do usually more short form content like on TikTok and Instagram, but I've been trying to make more YouTube videos. I just don't think speed builds are it. I mean, I will always make speed builds because I will always be building, but I'm kind of like more excited about trying out some challenges and stuff like that. And not just on Sims 2. I've been playing a lot of Project Zomboid, Power World, and other games, and I kind of want to try my hand at some of those videos. Just kind of having fun with it though. Like, I do love building, but it's just, I mean, first of all, I've been doing this since 2019. Yeah, that's when I started my YouTube channel. Not that I'm not proud of the growth that I've had here, but compared to my other channels, this is just like, it makes sense why it hasn't been my main priority, but I have such an opportunity with, you know, long form videos. Oh my gosh. Also, in real life, my husband and I bought land on a tiny island. It's 500 square miles island. We have 1 acre. It's super cute. And I just moved like 2 weeks ago to this island, but we are living at a house right now while we build our container home off the grid. Yeah, eco lifestyle. Was inspired. So I will be building a mock-up in The Sims first, and then we will be building it in real life. We're just working on the permits right now. Our goal is to get done by November, and it is June 1st. So fingers crossed. I mean, our idea is very simple, like we're trying to keep it as simple as possible, and then eventually we will build our like dream home there. But it's going to be super cool. So not just a container home, but I'm also going to have a shed for my office, and then I will have AC in there. Okay. And there will be outside shower, outside toilet. It will be a composting toilet, very, you know, eco lifestyle. It will be off the grid, so we will have solar panels, and we will be having a large screened in concrete pad area that kind of connects all these spaces. Cannot wait for it. All right, back to this build. We are back inside, and I'm, again, adding the finishing touches. So I was kind of coming up with some lore as I was building this. So as you can see, I do have some flyers on the wall. I'm going to kind of pretend that people have come in, they've graffitied a bit, they put up their posters, and, you know, people are going to go in abandoned factories. It's just something that people do, okay? Just part of being an abandoned factory. You're going to get explored in. Sorry to say. Oh, and I found some other, I decided to add another pack, Get to Work, very end. So that's when I decided to just go in also and add some random stuff I found in Get to Work, which has some great random items. I mean, it comes with the lab and doctor's office, so obviously that's going to have a lot of really weird items with that. This is the office. I totally forgot. I haven't shown this part yet. This is pretty small, so it didn't take me long. I put a lot of things at an angle because that just makes it look a little bit more run down, you know? Right angles. No, that's too clean. We got to have everything at a slight angle. Oh yeah, and I have to add this junk everywhere throughout the whole build, this random pile of gear clutter. it just worked. There was only 3 swatches, so I did try to kind of switch around the swatches a bit, but you know, you're gonna get what you get. It's not that big of a deal. Oh, sorry, but what I was saying, or what I was trying to say, is that I want to make a little series about us building our house in real life and also building it in The Sims. I don't really know how exactly I want to make that, but it will be Sims related, since that is what my channel is. But I think it would be kind of fun to show the process. I mean, I've done long time ago when we moved into an apartment. I did like, oh, let's renovate my bedroom, but this will be different since this is actually like building it, and I will be showing the process, especially being on this island because we are off of a slightly bigger island. So the slightly bigger island that is like the city is 32 square miles. And then, yeah, so we were living on St. Croix before, and we just moved back here. So we're still in the process of moving things. Right now, most of our stuff is packed up and it will be on a boat coming here. But when we traveled back and forth, we had to go take a puddle jumper plane over to St. Thomas and then a ferry over to this island. So it's been a slow process of moving, but I think that kind of like is part of the fun. Coconut's over here already with us. Little Cokie baby. She's looking at me because she heard me say her name, but she was the first thing I was like, I gotta bring my little baby girl. She did a very good job on the airplane and on the boat. She got lots of pets from people on the ferry. Yeah, she's a little spoiled girl. She's flown quite a few times. She's almost 13 and she's traveled quite a bit. Very proud of her. Yeah, she's getting old, so I just kind of want a nice comfy place for her to settle down and be able to relax. Maybe we'll move again. I'm hoping, I mean, we will have to move again because we're only here in this house until November. So we'll have to find something after that. It will be a fun process to show. Okay, so back to the build. This is the other bathroom. I just had this like awkward little broom closet and I thought I could make it into a closet, but decided instead, let's turn it into a bathroom. I finished this build up with slime on the walls, more grass, more dirt, and graffiti too. So I used pretty much all the graffiti that I can find in the game, which is mostly just with Get Together. Pretty sure right after this pack came out, another pack, or not pack, sorry. Soon after I uploaded this build to the gallery, another pack came out that had more graffiti. Can't remember which one, but I was kind of bummed about that because I was like, shoot, could have waited because I had to just use different swatches of that gnome one and this one. There really isn't a ton of graffiti. Kind of wish there was a bit more of like subtle graffiti, but the fact that we have any at all is all I can ask for. Yeah, I was playing some of the older Sims games not long ago and I was like, damn, Sims 4 really does have a lot of items and a lot of variety of things. Because in my mind, I'm like, yeah, Sims 3 has so much stuff. But when I was playing it, I'm like, okay, it doesn't really have so much stuff. It just has the color wheel, so that way I can use any swatch that I want and make things match, which does make it feel like a really, really big catalog. Because sometimes what The Sims 4 does is they'll have an item in one pack with 5 swatches, let's say, and they'll have the same exact item in a different pack with different swatches. Don't love that. Don't love that at all. Anyway, I need to wrap up this voiceover before this video ends, and I will add some of the best royalty-free music at the end for a little slideshow, so make sure you stay tuned. But thank you so much for watching today. I really appreciate it. If you like this video, please subscribe, like the video, leave a comment, let me know what you think. But I hope to see you all in the next one. Have a great day and bye!